Hello guys and welcome back to Reborn with Michael Watson. If you like spirituality simplified, this is the channel for you. We're talking about self-healing, manifestation, creation, surrender, letting go, all of these things. And today I'm talking about how I let go of chronic pain and healed myself from chronic pain twice in my life. And if you are suffering with chronic pain and you want to, or you even want to learn about healing in general, this video is going to give you a lot of information. So check it out to the end because I'm really going to go into as much detail as I can and simplify it in the shortest amount of time so you can apply it to your life and notice those changes. Also, please consider giving this video a like, share and subscribe to share the message. Join my free Facebook group, The Healing Circle, which is full of wonderful people. And check me out on Instagram because I'm sharing a lot of great inspiring information on there too. And look, it's all free. You can learn everything from me through these things too. If you're looking for a little bit more of a one-to-one, check out my website. But anyway, let's get into it. So in my life, I've had chronic pain. And when I say chronic pain, I mean pain that's lasted over 2 months. I had chronic throat pain. And I also, and this has taken me a while to make this video because I feel a bit vulnerable talking like this, but I have 3 children, right? So for the good of our marriage and everything like that, I decided to go for a vasectomy because I knew that we'd had all the children we wanted to have, and I just wanted to take that opportunity to, free our relationship up in that way, so we didn't have to be concerned about blah 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 blah. I don't need to go into it. Why do men do it? That's why. You can see I'm being vulnerable today. I'm showing up here with a vulnerability and it felt uncomfortable, but what do I teach people? To deal with the discomfort. And honestly, sometimes when you are vulnerable, you are showing your strength truly, to be able to share your vulnerability and to live through vulnerability as a strength. So I'm trying to lead with that best foot forward. So anyway, let's talk about it. So the first pain I had was chronic throat pain. If you have been following me for a while, you're going to understand that I had this pain during the highlight of my acting career as a singer playing Frankie Valli in Jersey Boys. Now what happened was I got the role. I actually believe I manifested it, but I was manifesting it through a sense of need and a sense of wanting to prove myself and a sense of this. So what tended to happen is once I used all that energy to get the role and I got it, I started to collapse. I started to have self-doubt, condemnation, not trusting in the self, couldn't relax and enjoy it. I ended up getting a bit of a throat injury from physical tension. It turned out that it took a long time for me to let go of that, and then the pain started to sort of just manifest more and more and more. By the end of my second year, because I just worked through all of these crazy emotions, by the end of my second year it became quite complex and it was bothering me. But even though I'd done well in the show, this was what I was living through. I also had stomach issues and hair loss, but we'll talk about that in a different video. Then what happened was, years later, after being a coach and doing all this, I decided to go forward with the small operation that I told you about. Everything was fine for a few months. Then just noticed for a couple of months started to get this pain, a pain that some men get after they have it. Now, I'm going to speak on both of these subjects first, but let's start with the second one, the vasectomy, because this was just recently this happened, so I wanted to talk a little bit about this. So basically what happened was everything was fine, but I just started to notice a pain in my body. It got to the point where it lasted that long that I considered going back to the doctors because I was thinking, is there a problem? Now, if you know my channel, I believe absolutely wholeheartedly in self-healing. But I am not against people going to doctors or having surgeries as needed, because every healing is spiritual. Every healing is spiritual. You ask for the healing, you're guided towards it, and you let it flow to you, however it needs to represent itself. For example, I put it this way. If someone was hit by a car, you don't then stop and visualize to get them help, do you? You ring an ambulance. So I'm just saying every healing has its place. So I was willing to take that step because I was starting to notice the discomfort was there. It was a bit more regular. I just wasn't feeling good with it. It was like, starting to frustrate me a little bit. But the interesting thing was I hadn't really come to terms with it. I was ignoring it. Everyone goes through that and they ignore the issue for a while because they think, it's just nothing. I actually recommend that is the worst thing you can do when it comes to self-healing and getting rid of pain. It's just to blindly ignore it, because you're not actually dealing with what is the cause of the pain. You're just ignoring it and pushing it down. It's the same as pushing down your emotions. Now me, I'm a human too. So I was acting quite human there, and I was realizing I'm pushing it down. One day I say to my wife, you know what, I've just got to tell you I'm having this. I may go to the doctor. And that was the point where the final part where knew I was ready to let it go was when I actually admitted to it. So part of what dealing with the pain was, and I'll reflect this back to the last time when I had the throat pain, is I actually started to admit that it was there. But this is the difference though, guys. I admitted it was there, but I didn't get so intensely lost in the emotional ramifications of it. What I started to notice though was that my emotions were starting to run towards what is wrong with me. So my mind started to go, is there an actual problem there? Is it something bigger than what I think it is? Is it something, really big where I'm going to have an actual health issue? This is how people's minds work. And then what was happening was the emotion of the situation was feeding the pain. But here's the thing, obviously because I teach people how to do this all the time, I had this awareness. And it hadn't been going on for years, so there wasn't an intense emotional attachment to the pain, like my first time I let go of chronic pain. So what I started to do was, it felt like a relief to actually say it to someone. Then I realised I'm emotionally attached to it with fear, so I started to sit with the pain itself. I sat with the pain itself and I started to observe it. So I put my attention where I was feeling the pain and the discomfort. I started to observe it because I realised that when you observe pain, it can start to move. Also, any emotion that's stuck in that area, emotional energy I should say, starts to reveal itself. So the fear around the situation started to reveal itself. I actually started to notice my body was starting to have some movement, some reaction to my awareness, because the awareness was done without judgment, without trying to change something. It was more like a childlike intrigue into what the pain wanted to tell me. Now the interesting thing is I started to feel a sensation in the body. I started to feel a sensation happening that wasn't pain but felt like movement in that area. Now, because of my faith and expectancy, I started to assume and expect that was part of my body removing the issue, removing the pain, getting rid of the pain. Now, here's what happened. A couple of days after, I didn't really notice anything. I wasn't really noticing whether it had changed or not. It wasn't until about 3 days later that I realised the pain had gone. The pain had left my body. How simple was that? I've done it before with a neck crank and woke up the next day like nothing happened. And I did it before with the chronic throat pain. And I want to tell you what the chronic throat pain was about. I had a lot of guilt about how I had this breakdown during the Jersey Boy stuff. So the guilt and the pain and I didn't really look into the emotional reasons why I was having pain after the simple operation intensely, because I knew I didn't need to. But maybe it could have been something about, ending the potential of creation. But anyway, when it came to that, when it came to the throat pain, I had a lot of guilt around not being at my best emotionally, feeling bad on myself for not being able to show up playfully and joyfully in the job of my dreams. And also I did some things during that time that made me feel some level of guilt and pain towards me expressing myself fully. So it all manifested here. What I did again was the same thing though, and this is like nearly 10 years ago. I sat and just watched my throat. I watched what was happening in that area of my body, again without judgment, a gentle observation without judgment. What happened? A lot of emotion came up on that one, but that was because I'd been holding on to that pain for about 1.5 years, and I just cried my absolute eyes out. Absolute emotional release. Now the interesting thing with that, because that emotional release, I thought I was freed immediately, but it turns out that the pain stuck around for about 2 weeks afterwards. Luckily, because of my joyous expectancy of the best, trying to starting to learn spirituality more, starting to discover it, I didn't fight and think, I'm a failure. I just was intrigued to see what the pain wanted to do, because I noticed it was lessening, but it hadn't left. And it does bring up disappointment. But again, I thought I sat with it more and more once I discovered this. And eventually, 2 weeks later, the pain was gone. So any of you out there who are suffering with any chronic pain or pain of any sort, be willing to sit with it. Be willing to see what the pain wants to tell you emotionally. Just do not judge the pain anymore. You'll notice when you sit with pain, it moves. And when it moves, it means it's not localized. It's an expression of the brain saying there's a problem in that area. Once you let go of the emotional connection to that problem, the brain will release the pain and release the issue. That's how I did it. If this video helped you, comment down below. If you have any questions around your own issue, comment down below and I will answer them. See you at the next one, guys.